Hello vinyl community, hello YouTubers. I don't have any new records to show this time. I haven't bought that many, but of course, or any. I haven't bought any since the last video. But sometimes it's just too nice to, well, actually enjoy the records you already have, because you have to remember that as well. So I did one of these random record videos when I had a randomizer in my iPad, and I let that decide which record to pick first, which unit, and then in that unit which record. So I've been doing that for a couple of days and enjoyed, well, most of it, although I have to say I got up to a quite shaky start. We started with a Swedish dance band called Lathe. They were a group that played together for many years, based on three brothers. They were best when they mixed the instrumental with vocal tracks. They often had very good female vocalists. They had it here too, but she was only allowed to sing one song. And most of the songs are on trumpet, with trumpet as a solo instrument, and not too interesting actually. So not the most promising start. They have made better albums than that. But then the next pick was a bit more interesting. It was Earth, Wind and Fire, the best of Earth, Wind and Fire, Volume 1. Great compilation album by such a great band. Even if my favorite track with them still is Boogie Wonderland. I think that was issued after this compilation album. But if we got off to a quite shaky start, continued a bit better. Right, then we left music for a while because sorry, then I ended up in the shelves that I have in here, which is mostly comedy albums and odd albums and some children records. But we ended up with this, The Essential Lenny Bruce Politics. It is an issue after his death on the Douglas label. The problem, I mean, Lenny Bruce was very influential as a comedian and as a truth teller. The problem is today it doesn't really feel, it's not really that fun. I mean, you don't really laugh at it, but you can really admire the things he say here, because he speaks about politics. He talks a lot about racism, and even if this was recorded over 50 years ago, it still feels quite as an accurate topic to bring up, because in some senses things haven't really changed that much since the 1960s. So, interesting for that reason. Okay, back to music. Come My Way by Marian Faithfull. This is a Russian reissue. This was originally issued on Decca in 1965. This is a 2006 issue on the Lilith Limited label, and that's a Russian label. Sorry. Since I bought this one, I haven't really been into the Lilith Limited label, because the few pressings that I've heard have been rather, well, lifeless, or rather shabby. Of course, she sings very well here, and there are some really great tracks, but I can't imagine that the original pressing sounds as boring as this. So, great album, but a boring pressing. The next pick, we're in the British section again. We stay there. The Beautiful South, Choke, their second album. And I was a great fan of the Beautiful South in the 1990s, even though I preferred the Jackie Abbott era. This was before her time. And I only heard of the three first albums were issued on vinyl, and I only had the two first ones. This is the second one. Still, Paul Heaton, one of the great songwriters without doubt, and yeah, I've been very influenced by him, even when I try to write songs on my own, taking the very sweet sound and putting in some killer lyrics that can even be, well, very not sweet at all, so to speak. Their second album, Choke. I'm not choking here. I don't really know why, but I've been just have a bit of a sore throat here. Right, over to the next pick, and we ended up in the Elvis section. Rare Elvis from 1980. It's a German pressing. We have tracks like Early Morning Rain, Hawaiian Wedding Song, Kuipo from 1973, many tracks from 1973. Patch It Up, Don't Cry Daddy, High Heel Sneakers. Yeah, High Heel Sneakers, is one of the great tracks of this album, and I don't know which other albums that I have that contains that one. Although I have to say, the pressing could be better. It could sound a bit more interesting than it does, but still, Elvis is Elvis. Right, back to the dance band, and I have to admit that this one, yeah, I listened with one ear. This album is one that I have because of the great title track. It's the band Dorados with the album Sidovagns Motorcykel, and this is a bit of a classic among those of us who enjoy some good sunkit. And sunkedelia is a certain kind of music that's maybe a bit too bad to really, well, almost as bad, so bad that it's actually quite good. And the title track here is Sidovagns Motorcykel. Of course, it's how you pronounce it, because the right way to say it, it's one of these motorcycles with a sidecar. I don't know really the proper word for it in English, but the right pronunciation would be Sidovagns Motorcykel, with the press on the first syllable, Sidovagns Motorcykel. But in the lyrics here, they sing Sidovagns Motorcykel with the press, the stress on the third syllable. So that's quality songwriting. Right, back to the albums that are quite good. Bob Dylan was the next random pick. Oh Mercy from 1989 with producer Daniel Lanois. I mean, you may disagree here, but Bob Dylan's 80s weren't his best decade, really. It was, in my book, quite horrible. But he ended it well with this album, even though he's made many better albums before and after this one. Right. Over to compilation album. Sun, The Roots of Rock, Volume 6, The Sunset Soul. This was a whole group of albums that was issued on the Charlie label in the, I think it's early 80s, late 70s sometime. And among the artists we can hear on this album, we have Frank Frost and Arby Stidham and Frank Ballard. Some good Memphis soul from the time, music that isn't that famous today and almost a bit forgotten, but material from the Sun label was almost always interesting. Right, two more to go. And the next one is one I was so happy when I pulled this out on my shelves. Sometimes you can think, well, yeah, I'm happy when I find something that I've been looking for a long time. In some cases we talk about, oh, I'm so happy I have this album. And this is an example of that. 10 years after. What? On the Durham label. Albert Lee was such a genius, and this is one of my favorite albums of them. Everything they made on Durham is gold in my book, but this is one of them. And I listened to it again and I thought, wow, this is so good. Right, the final pick is a live album with Norah Jones, live from Austin, Texas, Austin City Limits. It's from 2008. Great double album in which she plays some of her most famous tracks. Very well played, very well recorded. I don't know if it brings that much new to the versions that she has recorded earlier in the studio, but you can feel the nice, well, feeling, the vibration between her band, and the audience that loves what they are hearing. So great live album, great to have, great to listen to. There. Tomorrow morning I will get a nice visit. My mother will come and stay with me for a week, so we'll be playing tourists here. I'm trying to show her bits of Stockholm that she hasn't seen before. So I'm quite sure that there won't be much time for looking for records and not much time for making videos, but I'm sure we'll play a record or two during that week. So, bye for now.